to the creator, now bowing to the created. Now I can stand bolder, my heart and mind are sober. Looking to see a sign, my staff turned to a cobra. With magic they did the same, refused to fear his name. Hearts remain hard till their firstborns were slain. The knowledge you have is vain. Chakras and kundalinis, Kabbalah, tree of life, witchcraft and genies, mystery school teaching. Of course it gotta be right, you know it all. Somehow to gain eternal life. Were you there when he made the earth? When he formed man's bones, only used the dirt. Were you there when he made the planets? Please tell me how he did it if you understand it. Were you there when he made the heavens? And all their array rested on the seventh. All you have is speculation and theories. Gave us basic commands, we comprehend them clearly. What's the purpose of living? What's the purpose of dying? Who do you believe when everybody is lying? How do you wait fire? Count the sands of the seas. Tell me how many stars throughout the galaxy. Some things only God knows. If questions linger in your mind till your eyes close. But here's something you can understand. Fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man. While you still have a chance, fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man. While you still have a chance, fear Yah and his commands, the duty of man.
Okay. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 and let's move on to verse 26. Now we understand that spirit is in addition to. It is Yah, it is of Yah, but it's also in addition to Yah. Okay? Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 says, and Elohim, that should help you there, but let's talk about it. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image. Elohim, us, our. Those words are plurality, right? Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping creatures that creep onto the ground. You can look up the word Elohim. It's H430. It's plural. It's plural, and it means it can be a reference to the angels. Yes, it can. It can be a reference to judges even. It can be in reference to kings. He referred to Moses. Dang. And we're going to deal with that too. But in this context, at the creation, there wasn't any other kings except Yahuwah. So this Elohim is a plurality referring to Yahuwah and his son. Saying, let us create man in our image. That's what that's saying. Okay? To understand this, again, you got to understand the Shema. You got to understand the Shema. That Echad, that one means properly united. Properly united. It comes from H258. So Echad is H259. It comes from H258. H258 is Akkad. And it means to unify. It means to unify. So Yah and his spirit are one, but they are unified properly. Okay. So I ask you again, was Yah alone? When he said, when the scripture says, and the spirit of Yah was on the face of the waters, and let us make man in our image, was Yah alone? Moving on. Do we see precedence for Yah giving command for things to be carried out in his power and authority? Because what we're saying is that Yahuwah gave the command and his spirit did the creating, which was his son. Do we see precedent for that anywhere else? That Yah give command for things to be carried out with his authority. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 22. 1 Kings 22. Starting at verse 20. I want to say Torah for the family because they were with me last Shabbat when we were pulling together scriptures for this study, and this is one of the ones that they came up with. I think Isha came up with this one, and it's a good example. So, 1 Kings chapter 22, verses 20 through 23, and it reads, "And Yahuwah said, Who shall entice Ahab to go up at the fall of Ramoth Gilead? And this one said this, and another one said that. And a spirit came forward, and stood before Yahuwah and said, Let me entice him." 22. And Yahuwah said, In what way? And he said, I shall go out and be a spirit of falsehood in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Entice him, and go also and prevail. Go out and do so. 23. And now see, Yahuwah has put a spirit of falsehood in the mouth of all these prophets of yours. And Yahuwah has spoken evil concerning you. So we read here that the spirit came and stood before Yahuwah and said, I'll do it. I'll go and I'll put false words in the prophet's mouths. And in the very next verse in 23, we read that Yah says, I put a spirit of falsehood in their mouth. Even though we read that it was a spirit, one of the Melachim that did it. One of the Melachim did it, but it was with Yah's authority. Even so much that we read it says, Yah has put a spirit of falsehood. But the one that carried it out was the Melachim. All right, that's one witness. Let's move on. Number 2, Exodus 12, verse 13. Exodus chapter 12, verse 13 and verse 23. And it reads, we're looking at the Exodus, the night of the Passover. Hey, Middlebot, wake up. And it reads, wake up. Yes, you. And it reads, and the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. Remember, we was instructed to put blood on the lintels, on the doorposts. Lentils, doorposts. What's the L word for doorposts? Lintel. Yeah, upper doorpost is the lintel. Okay, cool. Now we know.
And knowing.
It's half the battle. All right, so Exodus 12 and 13 says, and the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you. I shall pass over you. Take note. And let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim. Let's skip to verse 23. It says, and Yahuwah shall pass on to smite the Mitzrayites, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts. And Yahuwah shall pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. So Yah said, I'm going to destroy you. But then we read here that it's the destroyer that's doing the destroying. They're all doing his will. They're operating in his authority. Okay. That's 2 witnesses. Let's look at another one. Number 3, Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to read 18 through 20. And this one is significant. Ready? Deuteronomy 18:18 says, and I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command. I'll raise up a prophet for them out of the midst of their brothers, put my words in his mouth. He shall speak all that I command. That's exactly what Yahusha said he did. Okay?
And we know that God told Moses he would make him the
Okay. And it came to be, and it shall be, and it shall be, verse 19, the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name. We in all the points there. My words he speaks in my name. I require it of him. Verse 20, but the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of another mighty one or other mighty ones, even that prophet shall die. Here's a bonus for you, because this is what these non-Messianics is doing. In all honesty, this is exactly what they're doing. Exactly what we just read in verse 20. And if you're not sure, Yah gives you the way to understand whether or not they're speaking what his words are. It says, and when you say in your heart, now you trying to figure, are they right? I'm wondering if you honestly wondering whether or not these non-Messianics have something or not. When you say in your heart, how do we know? How do we know the word which Yahuwah has not spoken? He says in verse 22, when a prophet speaks in the name of Yahuwah, and the word is not, or comes not, that word is the word which Yah has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be afraid of it. So all that they're telling you, Yahusha was just a prophet. Yahusha was just a man. He was an alright guy. He wasn't the son of Yah. Okay? All that they telling you. Mary wasn't a virgin.
That's another can.
We can open all them cans because they all saying the same thing. And if you saying one and you ain't saying the other one yet, give it some time.
Genesis 6 was a mistake.
Genesis 6, the angels didn't sleep with the daughters of men. They were sleeping with people outside of the nation of Israel. See, the sons of God is the nation of Israel. Everybody else is the children of men. Okay. Anyway, test the spirit by the spirit. Okay. If they saying that what they saying is of Yah, then ask yourself, what's the fruits of what they're saying? Are the things they're saying coming to fruition? Are they even giving you any understanding on things that Scripture says have happened, are happening, will happen? And are the things they're saying coming to fruition? Or are they simply speaking of their own heart? Because that's what Judge just said.
And Yah prophesied about Messiah's walk. Yep. Isaiah prophesied about Messiah's walk.
Yep.
Messiah came and walked it out.
Yep.
And you got men telling you, nah, that ain't what it is.
Yep. Yep. So these prophets that you listening to now think themselves more knowledgeable and understanding than Dawid, more knowledgeable and understanding than Daniel, more knowledgeable and understanding than Moses, Isaiah. You know what I mean? I mean, let that sink in for a second. They telling you they know better than them, than the prophets that wrote the prophets. All right, moving on to the next question. The question is in regards to John chapter 14, verse 6. In regards to John chapter 14, verse 6. And the question is there a precedent for there being a go-between between us and the Most High? Is there precedent of that in the Torah? Of there being someone to go between us and Yahuwah? So, on one level, you got to understand the priesthood and the high priest. I mean, it should be simple as that, honestly. If you understand the high priest, he was the only one allowed to go into the most set-apart place. The high priest was the only one allowed to go into the most set-apart place. But did you know that Moses was also above the high priest? Moses was above the high priest. The high priest was Aaron, his brother, right? Let's look at the scriptures to deal with that. You mentioned it before. I didn't dig into it because I knew he was going there. So let's go to Exodus chapter 20, starting at verse 18. I need you to have a seat over there. Exodus chapter 20, verse 18 says, and all the people saw the thunders and lightning flashes, the voice of the shofar, and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance. That's the key. The people saw it, they trembled and stood at a distance. And said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear, but do not let Elohim speak with us, lest we die. Verse 20. And Moses said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. In other words, Yah did that on purpose. He wanted you to be fearful of him. He wanted you to understand that you really can't deal with him directly. He just gave you a little snippet. It wasn't even his voice. It was the voice of a shofar. It sounded like a shofar. Voice of Malachim, voice of his spirit, voice of his son, voice of the word, but wasn't Yah's voice. As it reads, it clearly says the voice of the shofar. All right, let's move on to Exodus chapter 7. We're not done. Who? We're not done. No, we're not done. So Yahuwah said to Moshe, verse 1. Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. So Yahuwah said to Moshe, see, I have made you an Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aharon, your brother, his prophet. Remember I told you, Moses was over the priest. Yah said he was making Moses a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron, his prophet. That's deep. But it's showing you a chain of command, a hierarchy here on earth to show you what he was doing. You understand? Moses didn't talk to the people directly. I'm not even going to use my words. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 15. I don't want to tell you. We're going to let scripture tell you. Moses was the Elohim. Aharon was his prophet. Moses didn't speak to the people. If you're wondering, again, is there a precedent for there being a go-between? Here's where Yah gives you the image of how it works, right? Okay, 15. Says, and you shall speak to him, Moses, Aharon. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. We just read what Yah said, I'm going to raise a prophet from among you and put my words in his mouth. Now he's saying to Moses, you speak to Aharon and you put words in his mouth, and I am with you and with his mouth, and I shall teach you what to do. Verse 16. And he shall speak for you to the people, and it shall be that he shall be a mouth for you, and you shall be an Elohim for him. That's how it works.
It's like they trying to make y'all comment or something. You know what I'm saying? You go try to talk to Donald Trump. You ain't gonna get in there and speak to Donald Trump.
Here's the grace and the mercy that Jews, might as well say Jews for you non-Messianic. Y'all believe the same thing. Here's the grace and the mercy that you don't say exists in the so-called Old Testament. If you was to go and speak directly to Yah with this nonsense you talking, you be dead on the spot. So in extending his grace and mercy to you, you don't even get to talk to him. If you get your mind right, maybe you can address his son. And if you address his son correctly, his son will introduce you to his father. You understand what I'm saying?
But I mean, it's even stages in that, because
There's absolutely stages in that.
It's Minister Malachim that watches us all the time.
Yep.
And before you even make it to his son, you know, they already give a report.
Yeah.
This nigga don't let him out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. There's a pre-sorting process
Yeah.
before you even get to deal with Yahusha.
Yeah. We make Yah coming, but we'll honor and respect man. Oh, the king, oh, not any rap.
Yeah.
We gotta filter it down.
Yeah. You'll even honor and respect the gods of the nations.
Yeah.
More so than you respect Yah.
Yeah.
Yah is not common. He's not common. Neither is his son.
Yeah.
So stop trying to equate him with Jesus. Jesus for everybody.
Oh man,
Everybody can have a piece of Jesus.
Everybody.
Him and his him and his pelvis is there for anybody who wants a piece of it.
I just heard the Pope say just recently, one of the priests, it may not have been the Pope, don't quote me, that the Bible had it wrong and that Jesus is for everybody, including homosexuals.
Yeah, he is.
Murderers and bestiality. He's for everybody.
Yeah, Jesus is. Yahusha is not. Don't play with Yahusha like that. Don't even fix your mouth. All right. So what we just read in Exodus 4:15 and 16, you have to understand this is a shadow of something. Okay? My question is, who was the priest in the garden? Who was the priest in the garden when Adam and Eve sinned and there was a sacrifice made for their sin in order to cover them with that skin? Skin meaning it was an animal. Who was the priest? Who slaughtered that animal on their behalf? Was it a Levite? No, it couldn't have been Levites because the Levites didn't even exist yet. But even in the garden, what you're saying is there was an intercessor. Otherwise, they would have died immediately they would have died right then and there for their sin. This was the original priesthood. This is how the original priesthood worked before the Levite or the Levitical priesthood was introduced. This is how the original priesthood operated.
So I think a lot of us look at that story on a very carnal level. Adam and Eve sinned and they realized, oh my goodness, my butt hanging out.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it on a spiritual level, they sinned and they graced to be covered
Right.
of that sin.
Right.
They knew that they had messed up.
They saw when it says they saw each other's nakedness, or they knew that they were naked. It's in the same sense that you read the whore of Babylon. Her nakedness is going to be exposed. What does it mean? Do it mean her literal nakedness? It means her sin is going to be exposed. She's going to be uncovered. What she thinks she have covering her, she's going to realize don't cover her. Even the prophet Dawid said, blessed is the one whose sins are covered. How is Dawid saying blessed is the one whose sins are covered if there's no intercessor, no mediator, no covering for your sins? You understand what I'm saying? He understood. So yeah, you read back in, again, Genesis 3:21, we read it, where it says Elohim made coats of skin for the man and for his wife.
They raced to cover themselves because they know that Yah knows sin equals death.
That's right.
You know, when you get to Yah with your sins, then that's death.
That's right.
All day long. So they race to get covered so they can die.
Yep. That's it. So again, Dawid understood this. Let's look at Psalms 110 and 1. 110, we're going to read verses 1 and 2. So you, I guess, know more than Dawid. You don't believe that Yahusha was Messiah. You don't believe that there's anyone with authority and a throne other than Yahuwah.
But they believe that it says Dawid.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm not going to address that. I'm going to let Dawid address that. Okay. Ready? Psalms 110, verses 1 and 2 says, Yahuwah said, son, little one, you, have a seat. Be quiet. Thank you. Yahuwah said to my master. So this is Dawid. So if you're saying that the Messiah is Dawid, that Dawid is the only one with a throne, and I'm not saying Dawid don't have a throne. Yah clearly says that Dawid is going to have a throne forever. But he also speaks of another throne that's above Dawid's throne. Okay. And beneath the Father's throne.
Yeah, because he said Yahuwah said.
Or let me say adjacent to the Father's throne. Let me correct myself. Adjacent to the Father's throne, but above Dawid's throne. Okay. So it says, Yahuwah said to my master, this is Dawid writing and speaking. Yahuwah said to my master, sit at my right hand. This is not New Testament. This is so-called Old Testament.
Wait a minute, that's Dawid. They say is the man.
So Dawid said, Yah said to my master, sit at my right hand. Not sit under me. Sit at my right hand. Until I make your enemies, that'll be you, Non-Messianic, a footstool under your feet. Those who don't believe that you have power and esteem at my right hand, I'm gonna make a footstool under your feet. That's you. You know what I mean?
Y'all get y'all mind right.
Then he says in verse 2, Yah sends your mighty scepter. Yah sends your mighty scepter. Who's? Dawid's master. Yah sends your mighty scepter out of Zion. Rule in the midst of your enemies.
That's exactly what it is.
similitude of Yahusha. Dawid was definitely a similitude of Yahusha. But Dawid also understood who his master was. Okay, so whose mighty scepter is Yah sending out of Zion? It's not Dawid. Dawid is the one who prophesied. Look at verse 3. Your people volunteer in the day of your might, in the splendors of your set apartness. From the womb, from the morning, you have the dew of your youth. Yah has sworn and does not relent. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Yah has sworn and does not relent. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek.
Forever.
Forever is forever.
Forever is forever. Forever is forever.
After the garden and before Levi, a priest in the order, in this order, the order of Melchizedek, intercedes on our behalf according to that order. For more on that, check out. We did a study on that. Order of Melchizedek. Check it out on the website. Maybe we'll do a video for it. We'll see. But let's read a little bit about it. Genesis 14, verse 18. Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. Melchizedek, Melchizedek. Malchi, the prefix is from Malak, ruler, king. Zadok, righteousness. Zedekiah, righteousness of Yah. Okay, so Melchizedek is king of righteousness. That's a title. It's not a name. It's a title. You are a priest forever according to the order of a righteous king. All right. Verse 18. And Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. Now he was the priest of the Most High, Elohim, or Yahuwah. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High, Elohim, possessor of the heavens and the earth. And blessed be the Most High Elohim, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he gave him a tenth of all. Look at, like I said, that article on the Project Wake Up Jacob website. It goes more in depth into who that was. But the order is the same order that was established right out of the Garden of Eden. This is a king that is righteous, and it is not in the bloodline of Levi. Okay? Now, concerning John 14 and 6, where Yahusha said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you can understand what we just dealt with, the fact that there was always an intercessor between us and the Heavenly Father, then this should be easy. Simply put, what's happening here is Yah is over all, but he put his son in charge, and his son married us into his body. This is how we become one with the Father. Marriage into the body of the Son. But let's peel back a layer and see if we can understand this a little bit deeper. Look at this. The real Messiah said this. The real Messiah. John chapter 5, verse 8. John chapter 5, verse 38. You do not have his word staying in you because you do not believe in him who he sent. That's you, not Messianic. You don't have his word staying in you because you do not believe in him who he sent. 39. You search the scriptures, Genesis to Malachi. You search the scriptures because you think you possess everlasting life in them. And these are the ones that bear witness of me. The way, the truth, and the life. Check it out. John 14:6 says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. Let's look at the way. I'm just going to deal with scriptures. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 15 and 16. Give me 7 when you're there. Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 15 and 16. There you go. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. I know it's hard, my son, but you must choose. Come now, choose life or death. Choose the ball. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In that I am commanding you today to love Yahuwah your power, to walk in his ways and guard his commands and his laws and his right rulings, and you shall increase and live. And Yahuwah your power shall bless you in the land which you go to possess. Guard his commands, and you shall live and increase. That's the way. The truth. Psalms 119. Psalms 119, verses 142. And then we're going to skip to 151. Give me 7 when you're there. Chapter 119, verses 142, and then verse 151. It says, your righteousness is righteousness forever, and your Torah is truth. Skip to 151. You are near, O Yahuwah. You are near, O Yahuwah, and all your commands are truth. All your commands are truth. I am the way, I am the truth, the life, and the light. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. All right, it says, for the command is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and the reproofs of discipline a way of life. The commandment is a lamp, Torah, the instructions, is a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. I am the way, the truth, and the light. That's right. He followed the commands. He was disciplined. He showed us how keeping the commands helps you to acquire the Ruach HaKodesh and get you introduction to the Father. Okay? John chapter 8, verse 12. John chapter 8, verse 12 says, therefore John chapter 8, verse 12 says, therefore Yahusha spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. You can go back to Genesis and read that. Before the sun was created, he created light. Very first creation. I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life. This is all explained in the verses we're getting ready to read following. But what it's not saying is don't follow the law. It's not saying it. What it's saying is that following the law is how you receive me and my Father. That's what it's saying. So let's read this. Galatians chapter 3, verse 24. You mentioned this earlier when you said there's even a prerequisite to your introduction to Yahusha. There's a pre-sorting process. Galatians chapter 3, verse 24 says, therefore, Torah became our trainer unto Messiah in order to be declared right by belief. So in other words, before you can even understand Yahusha, you got to understand Torah. Which makes me wonder about y'all who don't believe in Yahusha as Messiah. It's like, are you even following Torah? Because following Torah is how you come to understand Yahusha. What are you doing in secret in the dark? What are you doing behind closed doors?
I personally do one non-Messianic man who don't believe in Messiah now. I personally knew that person, and not to say that I'm in a seat to point fingers to judge him, but just the way that this man's walk was, his discipline, no discipline. He had several clutches he couldn't let go.
Right.
Several things that he couldn't.
And that's the key. Couldn't let go. We all sin. We all have sinned. But as Yah is cleaning us up, as the Spirit is as you get a little bit of His Spirit and attempts to grow the Spirit in you, what happens is you begin to let go of things that don't allow the Spirit to grow in you. Because if you don't remove the things, sweeping out the house, in order for the set-apart Spirit to dwell in you, what happens is you let that other stuff in, and the set-apart Spirit can't dwell in there with you. So what happens? The Ruach HaKodesh flees. And that's Torah. That's not New Testament. That's Torah. It says you always resist the set-apart Spirit.
The scriptures say you're supposed to judge a tree by the fruit it bears.
Right.
And we knew this guy. This guy didn't have any fruit.
Right.
This guy was a yes man for a very wicked man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's just like, I'm not surprised that now he's saying there is no Messiah, or he don't believe in the Messiah, or he believed it's David, or whatever, because I'm not surprised. He never had the light was never in him. What's that scripture say? If you don't,
to the Torah and the witness.
To the Torah and the witness. If you don't have these, then you have no light. The light was never in him.
Yep.
I'm not surprised. And I can't point fingers at all non-Messianics, but that one that I personally knew.
Yeah. Okay. So again, Galatians 3:24 says, therefore Torah became our trainer unto Messiah. Let's go to John 14:23. John 14:23. Torah, our trainer unto Messiah. Then John 14:23 says, Yahusha answered him, if anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, that's Torah, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. Trainer unto Messiah, Messiah bring you to meet his Father. Right? Remember he said also, if anyone deny me before man, I'll deny him to my Father. All right. This is not a New Testament concept. I know I'm giving you those scriptures that are in the so-called New Testament. This is not New Testament concept. Yah was giving us this concept from the beginning. Let's go to Exodus 25. Exodus 25 and 8. This concept was from the beginning. Exodus chapter 5, verse 8. Give me a 7 when you're there. Verse 8. Okay. I probably won't. Okay. Exodus chapter 25, verse 8 reads, and they shall make me a set-apart place. They shall make me a set-apart place, and I shall dwell in their midst. This is the same concept. You understand what we discussed about Yah not dwelling in dwelling places made by hands? He's giving you the concept. Understanding the physical, what I'm doing in the spiritual. Let's look at Exodus 29:45. Exodus chapter 29, verse 45. And it reads, and I shall dwell in the midst of the children of Israel, and shall be their Elohim. You can translate as that is their power. Where will the children of Israel have the power to thwart their enemies? Where will they have the power to go in and depose the nations who stand in opposition to them and where they're trying to get to? They're trying to get to the kingdom. They're trying to get to the land. Where will they have the power to go up and fight against them and remove them from in the way? Well, the power that they're going to have is Yah dwelling in their midst. So again, look at this, what he was doing on the physical. Literally, the whole nation of Israel as one body moving through the wilderness trying to get to the kingdom. And the adversaries, many of them that stood in between them and the kingdom, like, nah, we're not letting you in there. Now you individually trying to get to the kingdom. And the adversary in the spirit trying to stand in between you and your goal, which is the kingdom. Your power is the Ruach HaKodesh. Same thing. understand what I'm saying? Only thing that happens in the so-called New Testament is those who understood and those who Yahusha calls to understand wrote the deeper understanding of what was being given to us in the Torah. That's all it is. Okay? Let's look at Exodus 15:2. Exodus 15:2. Same concept. Yah is my strength and song. Yah is my strength and song. He has become my deliverance. Yah has become my deliverance. He is my power, and I praise him. Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. You raising your hand? Okay. Y'all get that? Good. Questions regarding Matthew 11 and 27. Wrapping it up.